Hello. Good afternoon, Peter.
Hello. Oh, how's it going?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Kind of, we've sort of had this spate of nice weather that I've been doing my best to get out into and enjoy. And if
Yes.
that's not the most British start to a conversation, I don't know what is.
The only way it would have been more British, you'd have apologised about talking about the weather first before doing
Sorry.
it. Yeah. Just sorry. One of the things, so as I mentioned to you today, I wasn't well tail end of last week. I did get to go outside and enjoy some of the sunshine Saturday, but one of the things that I really enjoy doing is reading. However,
Okay.
like I just like get on my ass last week, and so I also enjoy audiobooks. I've been listening to a fantastic audiobook called "Conspiracy Tourist" by Dom Jolly. And I don't know if you know who Dom Jolly is.
That name rings a bell, but I don't know
I don't
from
think
what.
this might be one of those things you've not been in the UK long enough for. So Dom Jolly is a comedian who famously did a show called Trigger Happy TV, which in the
Okay.
90s was he wandered around with a huge, giant plastic mobile phone. And you know the old Nokia ringtone of diddle-oo-doo, diddle-oo-doo,
Yeah.
that
The
go
big brick
off?
phones?
Yeah. Well, he had a when I say a giant, like sort of
Oh,
4 foot sized,
got it.
plastic
Okay.
mess.
Like
And he
a
answered,
comically big
yes.
mobile phone
And
looking thing. Yeah.
and so he wandered around town centres in Britain going, "Hello, yeah, I'm on the phone, yeah." And so that was kind of his skit, and he's sort of a very funny guy. But he did another one where he dressed as a snail and crawled across a pedestrian crossing.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that video.
For people of a certain age in Britain, they'll know exactly who I'm about. For
I've
anyone else in
totally
the
seen
rest of the
that
world,
video.
it's just stupid. And it's also one of those weird things that makes no sense. It's that sort of like surreal kind of oddity humor. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
but he's written this book called he does a lot of travel writing now and like actual stand up and things. And he wrote one book on dark tourism, so visiting places like Chernobyl and the barrios where what's the chat Pablo Escobar ruled, and sort of all these
Yeah,
places.
in,
Like
Colombia.
the forest in Japan where there's like the suicides and all this sort of stuff. Like visits those.
Did he do a thing where he went to Fukushima?
Yes, probably. Yeah, wouldn't shock
I
me if he
so
did.
he did a series, like a TV
Yeah, yeah.
series. I saw that TV series. That's how I know who this person is.
So he's very very good, very very funny. But I would highly recommend his book Conspiracy Tourist, where he goes around to places that are to do with conspiracy theories. And I was listening to it
Yeah. That sounds
whilst
really
I
good.
was sort of ill. But the reason that it popped in my head was he told a story where, so apparently in Canada, it's not uncommon for people to leave their doors unlocked, like their front house door. Which he then said his friend had let him use their cottage or their house for a week. He turned up, got into this house, and stayed there for a few nights. And on the final sort of night, or a couple of nights before he was going, someone turned up and was he sat there on the porch and like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And he's like, "Hi, I'm good, thanks. You?" And just they're like, "Yep, fine." And he was like, "Can I help you?" And they're like, "Yeah, don't mean to be rude, but what are you doing in our house?" And this guy's like, "Oh." And Dom's like, "No, no, sorry, this is my house. Like, this is the house of our friend Catherine. Like, we're staying here." And this Canadian couple, like, "No, no, Catherine lives like next door. You've got the wrong place." And so he then said the weirdest bit was he said he then was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, he was mortified, as you would be. He was
Yeah.
apologizing. "I'm so sorry. Like, we'll get our stuff and move." And they're like, "Well, how long are you staying for?" This Canadian couple, like, "Well, you're only staying for another night. We'll move into Catherine's for the night." And he's like, "I'm not kicking you out of your own home that I'm in sort of awkward." And so he just said it was the most awkward thing he said of a Canadian and a Brit apologizing to each other, that they both made this, that the Brit had made this innocuous mistake, but the Canadian wouldn't let them like move out of the Canadian's home and things. He said, "I basically
Oh
had to
god.
force him to go and stay in his own house." It was just
That's
yeah.
just amazing. So I think I'm not sure Dom Jolly did the Dark Tourist Netflix series that I'm thinking.
I don't think he did that one. No.
But because that one, I'll see if I can find out who did that one. But they went to yeah, so they met vampires in New Orleans. They did a Jeffrey Dahmer street like walking tour in
Oh wow.
Milwaukee. Like, and then they did like Fukushima. So yeah, so it's a different person, and it wasn't Dom Jolly, but it sounds like like dark tourism isn't just like his thing, but like he's definitely capitalized on it. But the
Yeah.
conspiracy one sounds amazing, and it actually reminds me, um, Michael Moore.
Yep.
So one of his documentaries that he did, I think it was the one that was Bowling for Columbine because it was about like safety and gun violence and that sort of thing. And his point was like Canadians have a lot of guns too. But, like, you walk up to any random Canadian's house and you can open the door, like, they just don't lock their doors. And
Yeah.
he did that, like, he just went, I think, somewhere randomly in Toronto,
Hello. Yeah.
walked up to a door, opened it, and said, "Hi."
Yes, it is mind-boggling. It's funny though, because like my parents my parents have the front door of their house unlocked most of the time. I mean, I think I'm
Mhm.
not going to give out the address here. One, two,
Yeah.
no, but like they have theirs unlocked most of the time, and that's just what I kind of grew up with.
And I
Uh,
I grew up with the same, like, we never locked our front door except when we left,
hmm,
and we never locked our back door because that's how I would get in when my parents were at home. I would literally, either go through the gate or sometimes climb over because it was more fun.
yeah,
And then just walk in the back door, like, that was
yeah,
anyway, yeah,
crazy, isn't it? Crazy. But anyway,
different
welcome
times.
to this conspiracy theory episode of Sandbox sessions. First
Oh,
conspiracy
there's
we're
so many we could do there these
Is
days.
is is
So
Agent Force real? Is it? Yeah, yeah. Um, he took a guy to the corner of the world. One of the flat Earth views is that there's four
uh,
corners. There's not. And this the way that we could get this channel to go viral? Actually, if we start just
ooh,
talking about how absolutely bonkers the idea of a flat Earth is.
or just start talking about, like, there is a flat Earth, like, maybe that would
Or
get us more.
are you a big
If
proponent in the flat Earth theory then? Pete?
if that's what we were about, if it was really just about getting views, like, there's so many ways you could juice the algorithm,
Oh
but,
yeah, I
you
mean,
know
I do think we should try and maybe come up with like a special episode, which is Salesforce conspiracy theories.
Oh, that's,
Like,
yeah, interesting.
one of mine would be that I have a theory that Salesforce tracks like your eyes and your blood pressure, and then decides to redo to kind of refresh your cache as your blood pressure reaches a point at which like why is this not working? Why and like you're sitting there refreshing, trying to get like the latest version of your Lightning components down, and it's only when you hit the right level that it goes, now we'll refresh the cache for you.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's, certainly, yeah.
So I mean, I think that's one of my favorite, one of my popular ones is that I think Salesforce knows that it when it wants to irritate you.
When you read enough, like, posts in different, social sites and, places where people who implement Salesforce meet, it's plausible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's that might be a sort of a Christmas or a Halloween special we could do is kind of
There we
like
go.
spooky Salesforce conspiracy theories.
I think, submitting some crowdsourced ones would be really good. I think, you know, I'm gonna struggle to come up with any off the top of my head, but I think if we gave people, some notice and some time, we could probably come up with some really good ones to explore. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
Okay, cool. There you go. We've got an
There we go.
idea for a special. Just Salesforce conspiracy theories gone wild. So, how's Peter anyway? Though, other than you've enjoying some of the sun and conspiracy theory malarkey that we've had. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually taking it really easy this month. I've been winding down some of my contracts, and I'm not going to go into to all the details yet, but I've taken a job. So
Ooh.
1st of May, I'm going to be working for somebody again, as opposed to just working for myself and having a few clients. So that's going to be a big change.
Are you going to be the guy behind Agent Force now? Are you going to be the one that, when all
Oh,
the messages go in, there's just one person that sat
yeah,
down?
that's all that it is,
It's
right?
just going to
It's
be
sort
you
of
now.
like, if you've ever seen the original Wizard of Oz and,
Mm.
there's this crazy guy behind a curtain trying to like pull levers and that sort of thing. That's really all Agent Force is. And so, yeah, that's going to be me. But I hear it pays well. So,
Well,
you know,
perfect. Perfect. Welcome to the stream, those who are following along, I'm going to say at home, hopefully at home at work. Capability Snob, who joins us, one of our favorite regulars. Loads of stories about people getting into someone else's car here. It's easy to do when everyone has the same fault. I mean, that's
is
true.
Capability Snob, you're in Australia. Is that right? Do I recall
Yeah, if I
correctly?
recall. So
Yeah.
far, yeah. So people
So
in
how about
Australia.
you? Tell me what's going on with you, Paul.
So yeah, aside from my little illness, what else have we been up to? Just kind of planning a few different bits and pieces for the channel, which has been interesting. I've got a couple of things that I can't announce anything exactly today. I mean, we've got some new
Yeah.
podcast episodes we'll be recording soon, but we're going to have a special couple of live streams in the future that I'm working on, which will be interesting. That'll
Very cool.
involve Salesforce centric technology, but like someone from Salesforce helping us do that. A very big name in the Salesforce space, in fact, coming to
Nice.
help us on that front. And yeah, so working on a few bits like that.
And
Got
you
some.
went to Irish Streaming, right?
Yes, went to Irish Dreaming. I think we've spoken since then,
Did
haven't
we
we?
have an
Yeah,
episode
we
since
yeah we had
then?
another episode 2 weeks ago before that.
Okay. Yeah, you're
Yes,
right.
yeah. So yes, recovering from that and recovered from that fully.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully got some products that are launching soon as well this
Oh,
month.
very cool. So your you're making progress with that.
Yes, so I've got. So I currently have one product out there at the moment for messaging. So if you need to, anyone wants to send an SMS or WhatsApp or Viber message or receive them in Salesforce, give me a nudge. So we've got that. We've got a Marketing Cloud version coming out soon as well. And we also have another app focused on data scoring. So helping you define custom scores and analytics and thresholds using your Salesforce data. So you can do things like lead scoring and data completion scoring or customer value scoring, and then defining thresholds and actions to come out from that. So quite excited about that, which is quite cool.
Very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
keeping busy,
And
and
any upcoming things that you're going to be doing the next bit?
I'm at the Salesforce Ben party next week,
Yeah.
where I think you and I will hopefully bump into each other.
Should be there.
And
Yep.
should be there. And yeah, other than that, no, it's got a long weekend here in the UK. So my hope is to have a weekend of not sitting too much at the laptop and chilling out a little bit in the sunshine if the weather's decent. So, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. So I'm going to be off to the Bristol Developer Group next
Ooh,
Wednesday. So that should
very
be
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the talk that I gave at London's Calling about AI models.
Oh, cool.
So
Very nice. Very
yeah.
nice indeed. Yeah, I'm sad I'm going to miss London's Calling this year.
Oh, that's
It's
right. Yeah.
yeah, I stupidly double booked myself. Um,
Family
which
calls.
yeah, exactly. It'd be nice seeing like I've got all my family coming to see me, or a large portion of them, which will be nice. But yeah, it's also one of those things. It's like I mean, I did think of doing like the day trip to London and back, but
Yeah.
it's also kind of like I would find it slightly ironic that my parents have come from the southeast of England all the way up to see me, and then I spend like literally the first full day they're here, being like, right, I'm back off to London for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the
wouldn't
thing. I mean,
be.
at the time, they're up there, you know, overbooking yourself. Like I've done that before where like there was like potential family things and then other things to do. And, you just end up doing sort of each one sort of halfway. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, but no, nothing too crazy other than that. So yeah,
Very cool.
Should we talk a little bit of what we're doing and what we're going to try and do and what's happened and
Yeah. So, probably quick recap. If you haven't been watching the stream, we
what the hell? Why haven't you been watching the stream?
that's right. We're looking back to a feature that Paul and I both loved, which was the old green build an app or create an app button. Create an app, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and which was this it's a feature that came out pretty soon after I joined Salesforce where you could click a button and it set up basically did all of the boilerplate for a first a Salesforce app with a single tab for a single object that you would name, and it essentially took in 3 pieces of data. So it took in the name of the app, or is it 2? It's like the name of the app and the name of the object, and I
Yeah,
think maybe
you're
the
the primary.
plural label for the object as well, just in case. So it took like 3 things, and then it would go and build all this stuff for you. And, so Paul and I have decided to try and rebuild that, but in a command line command or a set
Yeah.
of them.
Series of many commands, and yeah, I think one of the things that sort of we've riffed on a little bit is the fact that by having one of the things we realized is Salesforce provides a bunch of functionality already in the command line for creating things like objects and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so we're using this as an opportunity to say, well, what are the kind of component blocks that Salesforce doesn't allow you to do? So permission sets being a topical one we'll look at in a minute. And then from there, saying, okay, great. How do we now allow you to add those things in and do that and build them in a nice modular way? So actually, yes, we're going to have our wonderful create app option in the end, but what are the many different steps we can give you on the way that allow you to say, go create a permission set, create a
Yeah.
list view, create a tab, etc., etc., etc. Because then having them as a command line, I think, means that we'll have a nice structured command line that can be used by anything anyway. It's
Right.
one of those things you can just kind of work away with.
And, this was all inspired by, sort of, non-Salesforce web frameworks like Ruby on Rails. One that comes to mind for me is Phoenix, which is the Elixir version of that. But all of these web frameworks that have the ability to, essentially provide the name for an entity, and it kind of goes and builds all of the stuff, the boilerplate stuff to have that new entity appear in your web application you're building. So is kind of like taking that idea, which, the entity part of it's already taken care of by the CLI, which, there's already a command that, as Paul says, to generate a Salesforce object. But like, what about the other things that you would actually need to have that be a fully working, functioning piece of your application? And then also applying kind of the most up to date um, practices around that. So rather than create everything that gets linked to a profile, it's going to be to a permission set. So trying to also do an update on that from the Salesforce side, as far as like how would you want to do that in a better practice way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these things, it's interesting to see how some of the practices have moved on. Things like permission sets instead of profiles. But I think as well, it's also I was doing something the other day where this permission set command line, as an example, is something I could actually use just use. Yeah, it was something that was an itch I genuinely was like, oh, I need to create a permission set. And so it's like, right, let's go into the org, create the permission set, etc., 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 rather than just being like, okay, great, let me just create it quickly here and deploy it. Which would have taken me far less time to do so and get running up with. So,
I mean, it's basically surfacing like why is the command line so useful? It's because, if you're out doing work, using Salesforce, using Visual Studio Code and, doing some work to build stuff, to then have to like context switch and click through a user interface to do something. If there was a tool that allowed you to sort of stay in the context of the tool that you're doing, especially if you're using something like focus mode in Visual Studio Code, it helps you do fewer context switches, and hopefully better productivity. I think one of the things I haven't played with much as far as generative AI code and kind of app building is command line stuff.
Mm,
And what I understand is that right now, because there was so much training data that has been found that has the old SFDX command, I think it's going to be a while before code gen tools are better. I mean, at least that's what I've found, is that it's very mixed up when I try and ask it to do, give it a prompt like, what is the right way to do the Salesforce CLI, and then you have to make sure you use the SF command, but then it uses some of the topics or that are actually related to SFDX. So like there's a lot of problems there, I know, but so having like better tooling that's like deterministic, I think is a positive thing, while generative AI tools catch up.
one of the just a brief aside on the generative AI stuff. One of the things I was chatting to someone about yesterday um, was I was being interviewed for some articles that are coming up soon, and someone asked me about generative AI for like senior roles and for being an architect. And I was sort of one of the things that I find quite funny about the whole generative AI space, and we're all going to replace developers and all this stuff, is that it's really interesting that code is what people are working on at the moment, because we've all seen Stack Overflow and seen how big a repository it is, and how and with GitHub, how much code is there already that you can use as a reference point. Um, I was chatting to another friend about, in fact, Kerry Townsend. I was chatting to her earlier on, and just was mentioning the same thing. And I said to her, like, the problem for architecture, I said, is if I go into 99.9% of customers and organizations say, great, can you show me your architecture documentation? Like, I will get like blanks. What? Sorry? Architecture documentation? Yeah, all those decisions that you've documented in real detail as to why you've made them.
Yeah,
And
everybody
so
has those, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, those don't even exist as a private repository, let alone as a public repository like
Oh
GitHub.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so it was one of those funny things. I was chatting to them about this the other week. It was saying with coding and all these things, because they asked me why we were doing things like this. They're like, but you're like, it's vibe coding now. Like, you just get cursor or whatever to do it for you. I was like, yeah, but that A requires you know what the hell it's outputting so you can check it's correct. And I was like,
Oh, totally.
but B, I was like, eventually it's going to run out of like land, like it's going to run out of runway, because who's putting all the new documentation out there and writing the new code? I did find it funny.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a newsletter I subscribe to called AI Snake Oil, and I don't know if you've read this one,
No.
but they have a new post that came out that uh, it's actually a paper, so it's like 15,000 words, and I've just started to read it. But their whole like premise of this paper is we need to be treating AI like normal technology. In other words, this isn't magical, sort of autonomous, we're not creating new beings here. We are creating technology, and we need to treat it in the same way that, all technology life cycles happen, and, have good practices and like the right attitude toward it, and safety, and like all these different things. So I'm really excited about digging into that article a bit more, and kind of hearing that perspective, because that AI Snake Oil newsletter has done they've tried to kind of keep the conversation grounded. They're very pro AI. Like they're both machine
Yeah.
learning scientists, and they're totally on board, but they're like, we need to see this for what it is. It's a technology. It's not
Is it
like we're not
the one
making
by?
it beings. What's that?
Is it the one by Arvind
Yeah.
Narayan and Sayash Kapoor?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I will post a link to it in the chat now for.
Yeah, yeah. It's good stuff.
Yes, capability snobs just nailed it. Automation is great. It's also not new. Very, very true. So, so let's have a look at where we were and what we were doing So,
You're gonna walk us through. Yeah, there we go. Good.
yes, excuse me. So, those who followed along last time will remember we defined a command where we have some flags. So we have a summary, we have a description, a name, a description, a label, a has activation required, and an output directory. And this is what we're going to need to produce effectively a permission set. And kind of our permission set XML looks like this, just at the bottom here. We'll come into this file in a second, but just to remind everyone that this is what the XML that Salesforce has representing permission set looks like. So we had those items we were capturing, and at the end of the last episode, what we wanted to do was take those items we captured and say, great, can we now produce a representation of a permission set that we can then output as XML to then save as a file? And so in the background, I've gone away and built this permission set generator class. And let's talk a little bit about why it's named permission set generator and kind of what the pattern that I'm planning or I think about we're going to have here is. We're going to have a folder called metadata types, which is separate to our commands folder. And in here, for every single type of metadata we want to generate, we're going to have a generator. So permission set generator, we'll have custom tab generator, lightning app generator, etc., etc., etc. And I need to come up with a, I think, to kind of bury the lead a little bit. I think, Pete, what we're going to end up doing is creating a parent class or a base class for this that has the return object representation method, and just means that we have a lot more of a repeatable thing, and then we can start to abstract some of this stuff out and about. But this class, what it does is we have two member variables, so label and description, and we'll add a third one in a minute. And these both have types of string. This is TypeScript. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with TypeScript. A little bit more just means I have the documentation open and I know where to look at it so far. But it's sort of making a bit of sense. And so the pound symbols in front here indicate a TypeScript property, kind of a member variable.
Quick question: Have you, I was trying to do a little bit of looking into, shoring up my own holes in my own TypeScript knowledge.
Yeah.
TypeScript does have the ability to have an interface, and like this almost seems like, if we're going to have like permission set generator and custom app generator and tab generator or whatever, like it probably, we're going to want to have a sort of metadata generator interface at some point, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, we'll get there, but,
yeah. When I said about the base class a minute ago, that's what I was meaning.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm mixing and destroying terminology terribly here, because technically, where it's still JavaScript under the hood, I'm like, you don't have interfaces in JavaScript in the same way we kind of have base classes and super classes and yada yada. Cool. I'm still not fully comfortable with TypeScript. Let's just say I still would prefer this all to be regular JavaScript, but hey, we are where we are. So we then have a constructor that takes in our label and our description. We'll add in our has activation required in a minute as well. Assign these internally, and then we have this method return object representation that returns an object data type. And this is where we get into our fast XML parser, I think it's called, fast XML parser, which is the library we decided to use for this. And the reason we decided upon this is it allows us to pretty quickly, as we found out, take XML and stick it into JSON, and take JSON and stick it into XML. And obviously, I think the JSON to XML is going to be pretty obvious as to why we're doing that, because we're in TypeScript or JavaScript and want to take it out and make XML from it. The XML to JSON, I think, is important to remember that when we do things like adding say we want to add permissions to a permission set for a particular object, we're going to have to take the existing permission set, read it in, edit it, and then put it back out as JSON.
And then things like adding an app to the app menu as well.
Exactly. That's another prime example. So
yeah.
So, but this has been quite nice and easy to work with. So I've been impressed with this so far.
And hey, 29 million other people thought it was good too. So, or at least downloaded it. So,
although there was this weird dip then, which is always, when was that dip? It was like Christmas? Over Christmas.
Yeah.
All these people not doing XML parsing on Christmas Day.
Come on. What's the world come to that people aren't doing XML parsing on the 25th of December? Seriously.
So we have that. Interesting other random thing I found that I still haven't resolved yet, but this is a TypeScript file, and I have to import it as a JavaScript file because there's TypeScript. There's a flag where I can't import a TypeScript file, but if I have it if I have this as an actual JavaScript file, it then whinges that it isn't typed. Don't ask me. It just
I'm not following that, but that's
no.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Anyway, so what we do is
actually, let me just go back there. So what you're saying is,
if this was TS,
it fails.
Yeah.
So it will only import the post-compiled JavaScript.
Yeah, but that file doesn't exist.
I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, it doesn't exist now, but doesn't it get generated once
it does actually... I've never run the compile, I'm just running the dev build.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of TypeScript magic going on there that's doing some like source code mapping or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So roll with it is the
we're going with it. The module system is pretty strange. It's true. Yes, capability snob. The module system is strange in many, many ways. So what we're going to do is on this permission set generator here, we have a JSON object. So fast XML parser, what it does is it allows you to take a JSON object and have that turned into XML. And there are some rules, about how you format that JSON to get the correct XML. So I'm going to ignore this top line here for a minute and we'll come back to that. Let's just look at this permission set. So, excuse me, in here, we have a permission set tag, we have an open tag and a close tag, and we have 3 child tags of description, has activation required, and label.
Yep.
So a tag is defined as a property on the object. So we have permission set, we have description, we have has activation required, and we have label, which are all just tags. So they're keys effectively on our object. We then have the ability to have inner properties, so text inner properties. So that's put together by having pound text, and we define in here this default XML options. We can say a text node name is prefixed by pound text. Okay. And then finally, we have this @ symbol with an underscore, and that defines an attribute. So you can see here, I've got that again, attribute name prefix. So we've got our XMLNS, our XML namespace attribute here. And we define that as @_XMLNS. And this kind of series of lines there is the JSON representation that produces this. Okay. And we just are calling our inner member variables to populate the other values in there.
And when you were showing me this before, that prefix on XMLNS and text, those are configurable in the XML parser, right?
Yes. So in this default XML options here, so you could change it to whatever you wanted. So if we just wanted that to be £T, we could do so.
Got it. That's really cool. I like that they give you that, that bit of configuration.
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice as well. We can indent things. You've got this Boolean suppression on attributes. So,
okay.
So if you had an attribute that was like has activation required, So if you had that, for example, it would you could decide whether you wanted to show me equals true or just show me, which is a good
Right.
example of that is checked on a checkbox.
Oh,
Because you
interesting.
ever see a checkbox, I think input checked. I think it's probably type equals checkbox, whatever it is. It's something like that. This is showing my absolutely useless knowledge of HTML. But you don't have checked equals true. You just have
Right.
checked.
Right. If it has the attribute, then it's true. If it doesn't,
Yeah.
then false. Yeah.
So yes,
Cool.
so that's that. The only other bit, and this that was outputting for us fine. We'll show you outputting in a second. The other bit we added in is the XML. What was this called? The prologue.
Prologue. Yeah. Something vocabulary I learned for the first time after working with XML for like 20 years. So
Yeah, it's so this is what defines this file as XML rather than any other
yeah.
ML, I suppose.
And it
And
was
so
interesting to find that actually the metadata API will accept the XML without the prologue, but when
yes,
you pull it back down again, the prologue is there. So
yes. So to just cover that off again for people, what we did was we generated this, and it only generated these 5 lines. We copied that in and created a file, which was our metadata file. We deployed it, and it deployed fine without the prologue. But then when you refreshed it, Salesforce was good and made sure that you had got the prologue in there. It cares about standards. So yeah, so we added that. It seems that by putting this question mark in front, we get a self-closing tag like that, or well, not a self-closing tag. We just get the definition tag up top. So I think it's doing something that indicates it's a prologue tag. Yeah, so this is it. If I go down here, let me just clear the screen a second. I'm going to rerun it. And so I'm running our dev version. And what we've got is MDX, which is our command, create permission set. We're giving it a name of demo, a description of here is a cool description. And what we'll do
do you want
is,
to change this? Because in your test org, didn't you?
yeah, well, let's call this live demo.
There we go.
So here's a cool description, brah, and we'll have a label of live demo, bro. There you go, proper bro coding now. So
My 13-year-old has started calling me bruh.
really, oh wow,
It's pretty hilarious actually. So he is of his time.
of his time calling you brah. You're just going to start calling him dude back just to get like.
Oh yeah, I already do. So yeah, for
You're
age.
gonna find what he would find the cringiest thing for you to call him back.
Oh
But
man, I love making my kids cringe. It's so much fun.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
one of the joys of parenthood, in a loving way, of course.
yes, just finding the one thing that they hate you saying. So if we run this, it will go away, and I've got it debugging out first of all our JSON. So this is what it looks like in JSON for us. Excuse me, which is no great shock, as that's what it looks like there. And then we have our XML permission set. So what I'm going
Looks
to do is I'm going
good.
to copy this and going to go back over here to our Sandbox sessions org. And I've called this live demo, haven't I? So if I go into create a new file here, live demo dot permission set dash meta dot xml, and I'm going to spell permission set properly because that always helps. Sorry, I'm aware this is quite small for people here. So we copy this across. Okay, and I'm going to hit save. It's going to magically deploy nice and quickly. And if I go over here, I haven't got the org open still. If I open the org, we will have a new permission set. Live demo, bro.
How about that?
correct API name and everything. Oh, interesting. API name there is lowercase. So whatever we give the API name on, it uses for the file name, but it uses the file name exactly.
Oh, that actually makes sense. A lot of metadata seems to work that way, where the file name itself is the, yeah.
So there we have a wonderful permission set being generated. So yeah, nothing I think too mind-blowingly clever. We've taken some things that we've been passed and we've stuck them into JSON and then stuck them into XML. We are elite coders, obviously, but so I think a couple of things we wanted to do just to show people again how we kind of go through this is let's add in a Boolean for let's just spell activation required. And then we're going to add this in here. So this is how we do it in TypeScript. So you define the parameter and then you say what type it has.
Yep.
Very upset if you don't do that. There you go. And then down here, we want to use this as. There you go. And so that'll take in that. And then we want to update our. So you can see here, one of the nice things about TypeScript is it does do this very quickly. And then flags dot activation has activation required. Bingo. This will work nicely because it is going to just give us a Boolean. So interestingly, you'll see here that for the description, if I just remove that now, because description is not required. So where is description? There. Excuse me. Because description is not required, we get a TypeScript piece here that just says string or undefined is not assignable to parameter of type string. Because undefined is not a valid string. Well, the word undefined is, but you know what I'm getting at, the undefined data type.
Yeah.
So, we've just got this.
Any data type, is that? Or is it?
It's not any, it's none.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we've added this little null coalescing here in that just says make sure that it's that or blank, as we need an empty string if nothing else. So
and I don't quite understand why the
I just
because the has activation required is not required either, but for some reason it's happy with not having the null coalescing.
Yeah,
Is
that
that because
has activation's a Boolean though, isn't it? So a non-required Boolean is just false, which is a Boolean.
Okay. I was wondering if it had to do with using the string reference in the brackets, like somehow that.
Should we try?
Well, I was going to say maybe try. Yeah. See.
Nope.
No. Okay.
We can't. I mean, yeah, we can't use it as a dot nomenclature here because of the kebabbing.
The what?
Kebabbing, because it has activation required. We can't do dot.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
What's
right.
interesting?
Okay. Yeah. Invalid.
Yeah.
Characters in the. Yeah. Okay.
Is if I do. I'm just trying to see if it's so. What happens when I press save here? The lint is
that's just prettier, kind of coming in and fixing it, isn't it?
Yeah, which just really confused me a second ago because I was like, wondering.
I mean, from a developer experience thing, like I see it both ways. I see it, this is tooling that the CLI team has built for Salesforce themselves to build CLI plugins. So I totally get that. As a community tool for developers to use, like I don't think it makes it easier to use. So it's a weird like dichotomy between like what's the best developer experience, forcing every you're sort of foisting like your coding standards on every single plugin developer. And I just wonder if there's a better way to go about that. At least making it more configurable as you set up the project to say like, do you want to do this precompile linting, and do you want to always do prettier and blah blah blah. But
Yeah, I'm just wondering where so ESLint config.
prettier RC. That Jason.
God, I'm being blind. Where is it?
Just above license.
Oh, yeah. Salesforce prettier config. So it'll be something in one of the Salesforce packages somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. This is one of the areas where I'm quite. I have my, just as an aside, my view is let people write the code how they want to write the code, and leave it alone. Just because you want to enforce that standard, that's your problem, not mine. But hey, we are where we are. So we have this now. So if I update our thing, so our activation required flag is A. I'm just going to regenerate this, but a true, because it was false beforehand, if we remember here. Unexpected argument true. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm trying to think of other flags that are Boolean like that, and kind of.
I wonder. Yeah, if you include -a, it means true.
There we go. Okay.
So yeah, interesting learning note there then, that the exclusion of it means false, the inclusion of it means true.
Yeah, it almost makes. Yeah, okay.
So we have added another item onto the flag. So we've got the activation, got the label, got the description. We know where the name is. So I think what we need to do now then is look at outputting this to our directory. And this is where we wanted to have a look at what data we get from the directory, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. So to review for folks who weren't there last time, when you create a new flag, so there is a CLI command for generating a flag for your CLI plugin. There's a whole bunch of complex types, flag types that are for sort of standard encapsulated behaviors of the Salesforce CLI, things like directories and the name of an org. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. But when you go to, for instance, if you have a flag that's going to identify your target org, you can actually name that flag anything that you want to. And then you also identify the type as a target org flag. And in having that, you actually encapsulate all of the logic of having a target org. So it takes away a lot of the work of having to interact with an org that way. So we're sort of wondering with this one, like how aware is it of this being a a Salesforce project? Like if you were to set your target directory, like would it by default just generate that to the force.org, the force app directory? Like those are some of the things that we're trying to figure out, like what do we need to do to make this thing work?
So by default, so what I've just done is just logged it out. 1 minute. Let's Joel, let's just do this properly. Let's not be an absolute moron here, Paul. Of course, that's going to be undefined because that is not correct thing, is it? Like that. So we know, just whilst we're loading this up, we know Capability Snob is in West Queensland. So welcome and thanks for joining us all the way from the other side of the planet. Where is everyone else dialing in from? So drop us a line and let us know where you're watching from. So it's still undefined. So I don't think it knows anything about the output directory. I think it's wanting a directory, but I don't think it has a default one. You're on mute, Pete. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
So I think we're going to need to
look up in the Salesforce CLI wiki more about this, which I think you're doing as well. So
that's design guidelines.
Common actions.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's Ellie.
All the way from Essex.
Nice.
So far then, between the three of us, we're producing a nice big triangle and avoiding... I mean, if we added a Capability Snob in like West Queensland, that's going to be a huge, huge square.
Yeah.
Huge square for our flat Earth. No, come on, Paul. Focus back on topic. Topics, action, resources, flags. So, in our properties here, type, flag types, Boolean directory. Yeah, it doesn't have an existing. It doesn't default. So I think we're going to need to add a default in there. Which,
okay,
for us would be
force app.
It'll be force app. So how do we? Is there a way of providing a default in here? I suppose is the interesting.
There should be a set. Yeah. So at least I thought there was. When you define a flag, I thought there was a way to do a default. Flags.
Well, no, I think I'll just compile it.
ID.
Default, just the word default. That is, I could have probably guessed that, couldn't I?
It would have been a good guess, but then you can never tell, can you?
No. Force app main default. Oops. Permission sets. Just check that. Force app main default permission sets. Yeah. So that's cool.
Lowercase s, does that matter?
I think was it not uppercase? Oh no, you're right, lowercase. Cool. So force app main default permission sets. Awesome. So right, so we have that now. So I think the next thing we want to do then is save this. Save it to our directory. So this is where we need to think about file streaming and outputs, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So, am I remembering correctly that we can have a default, default file stream output? Where is that?
Are you talking about generally in Node?
Yeah. Writing files, that's what I want.
I've been really good at Python and file system, but Node, my Node skills are pretty rusty on this.
So I think it is just FS, which I don't know if we need to.
Is that so? Yeah, so that's there's a promise based version of FS.
Yeah. Hold on a minute.
It's like FS promise or something like that.
Oh, okay, sorry. This one.
That looks like it could be it.
It's amazing what you can
No
get.
callbacks, no callback hell.
Hey, all right. Let's have a look at using it. Write 1 million times. Let's not. All right, get writable string. I mean, is that not the most unhelpful bit of like just get this somehow? It's like I'm looking for it. Like you're literally the documentation. Like get writable
You
strings.
know, honestly, like that's I have lots of problems with written documentation, just the way my brain works. So,
All right,
like
so FS
I hate it when people use examples with the foo and bar and bat and whatever thing. Like that level of talking about something abstractly, like just makes it more challenging for me. But
yeah, I agree. Here we go. fs dot open fs. All right, I think what we want to do is don't need the hello. So probably want to import it, don't I, as well? That'll help. From FS, it's just called FS.
so I think it's so fs dot promises. Yeah, there we go.
What are we gonna come on? What are we whinging about now?
I think it may need to use the require
Prefer
promises.
node. Oh, 1 minute. Okay. Apparently it should be the top one. Apparently that was it. Just didn't like where it
Oh,
was.
look at that. Okay. All right.
All right, cool. And then fs dot write file. Asynchronously write a file. Cool. So we do fs dot write file. What's it asking for? The file name or file handle. So that is going to be our directory.
Yeah.
Let's interpolate this string a little bit. Nope. Flags output. Bingo. And have I got the / I'll just put it on there, / and then file name, wasn't it? So it'd be name.
Yep.
Flags dot name dot permission set meta dot xml.
That looks right to me.
Cool. So that's parameter 1. We then want data, which is our string, and that is going to be our XML. And then I think we can do.
You need to await that.
Yeah. Cool. I'm just going to move those for a second. Right. Let's save that. All right. Let's give this a go. Is it going to work? Is it going to error horrifically? Cool. Error. No such file or directory. Ooh. Okay.
So that brings up, because if we're doing this in like a fresh directory, like most new projects don't include that directory, do they? The
No,
permission set
they won't.
directory?
No, not off the top of the
Yeah.
not off the bat. So isn't one of the isn't there an option in here too that is like create or yeah, options, undefined, open mode. Where is it? Madam.
So this is a moment to see if my cardioid mic is doing its job. It is half term, or sorry, term break. It's the Easter break, so my kids are both home, and actually being quite noisy just on the other side of that door. You can't hear that, can you?
No, I think I'm all right.
All right, mic's working.
As long as they're not like murdering each other or anything.
No, they're sort of making just silly voices.
Kids. All right.
Ooh, Capability Snob is suggesting FS make dir.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm just a bit annoyed that there's not an option for us.
And then recursive equals true. Ooh, nice. Okay. Love a bit of help from the
yeah, we'll go down
viewers.
that route. So that's what Capability Snob's suggesting for those not watching. So go back over here. So we'll want to do fs dot. The problem is it won't that if the file exists or the folder exists, then we're going to have the opposite problem. So we need to do something where we check if the folder exists, if the file exists first. So I think we're going to do something like, oops, I've lost the screens. Where are we? I go here. Thank you. So if there's an exists sync and a make directory sync. So fs.exists. Okay. Exists doesn't exist on the what's the word I'm looking for? On the async options.
Let's see.
Oh wow, there was a big conversation about whether you'd want fs exists in the library.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if if it's just kind of thing where
So I think what you
upon
want is
success fulfills with undefined if recursive is false, or the first directory path created if recursive is true. I wonder if you can just execute mkdir and then based on the result, like, if yeah.
So what I think, so what I was thinking is to do that. And obviously we await it.
Oh, okay.
So you
And
can
what
do
does that
that.
one do?
So that tries to access the file.
Oh, the directory. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, the directory. Yeah. So let me just. So I think there's fspromises.access. Hang on. Test the user's permissions for the file or directory specified by path.
Check file access cons. Okay.
You provide the options, but
And that's also the callback version. That's not the promise version. Again,
choosing fs.access to check for the accessibility of a file before calling open read file or write file is not recommended.
Okay. Well, could you just do a read?
Yeah, but I'm not looking at the file. I'm looking at the folder. That's no. This you could do, but I just feel that that's a dumb thing to suggest. Like, no, when I say not that you. Sorry, to be clear, for the recording here, to be very clear, not what Peter's suggesting is dumb. What I think is dumb is the
Oh, you
fact
can
that
say it.
would never say such a thing. What I think is dumb is the fact that like the idea of accessing the file to check that the file exists is apparently is not the right practice.
Yeah, so capability snob says you still have to catch the exception anyway. It might exist, but it might be writable, for example. So maybe handle the exception and let the write file fail if it doesn't work, or just do the write.
Yeah, I suppose. So I suppose we've got a couple of problems here. Number one is if the folder does, we need to create the folder if it doesn't exist, one way or
Right.
another. Like in a plain brand new Salesforce project, that folder we know won't exist, so we need to find a way of creating it. So I'm gonna go on with this still, and then await. So let folder exists. It's probably const, yes.
Okay, I found a Stack Overflow. I'll take a look at this while you're.
Yeah.
It is the callback version, but let's see what it says.
All right. Yeah, that's not.
So makedir will do nothing harmlessly if the directory already exists. There's no need to check for existence.
Okay.
According to now, this is since node 10.12, so we should be good as far as that goes. And this is a 2012 answer on Stack Overflow. So, but I wouldn't think they would change that behavior to move away from that. So it looks like makedir you can call, and then if it's already exists, it just does nothing.
Yeah. So let's try that then.
Yeah.
So try creating that.
Which that actually makes sense as far as how I would hope the API would work. It sort of makes it the simplest way to implement it.
Okay, let's give it a go. No such file or directory. Make directory.
Oh, did you do recursive?
I did not. I did not. And so that's just a options object. Hey, oh, what do we got here? Force app, main default permission sets, live demo permission set. Boom.
Damn, it worked.
Look at us. Okay.
This is great. Like we're only an hour and 10 minutes in, and we've already been more productive, I think, than the last the last live stream.
The last like 4 hours. Like the last 6 live streams or whatever. Let's update this then to be test check make dir. So I'm just going to do here is go back onto this one and change the name to be make dir test. So what I'm doing here is just validating that it's not going to kick off if the directory already exists. Bum, 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 bum. Nope, does not kick off.
Sweet.
Awesome. Cool. Right.
Awesome, brah.
We're actual programmers that know what we're doing. Well, let's not. Maybe not go too far. We have written some very basic code. Right, I'm going to delete this, otherwise I will forget it's in there. Cool. So let's get rid of that bad boy. So we're now at a point then where we have kind of completed our first real task, I think.
Yeah, I think you're
getting
right.
stuff created
Right.
and written. So what do we think would be best to kind of do with some of this stuff? Because I think a couple of things here. So I'm just going in some to-do notes and to-do. Excuse me. So I think that this stuff, I think a lot of this should be abstracted out somewhere. Like this, we shouldn't have the same XML options in everywhere.
Right.
So we're going to extract our element XML options and writing logic to separate class.
Yep. Yeah.
That's fine. I think the fact
that makes a lot of sense. I almost could see at some point investigating whether it would be worth it to have sort of a more generic Salesforce metadata generator, but I'm not sure if there's enough in common between all of them. So I think that would be something to investigate once we have a few of these, and see if that's worth abstracting that out. But it seems like a potential candidate in the future.
No, definitely makes sense. And then, yeah, I think if we do that, that could work. But I think we got our first one done.
Damn.
Boom. Absolutely nailed it. I think we could update some of these as well at some point, but hey, that works. Description, label, activation, output, dir. Cool. So, one of the things I did do the other week as well, or did do in between the 2 weeks. So people who watched along last time will recall that we had a stupid thing called commit lint in there, which Paul hated normally. So if on the very rare off chance that like someone who is involved in commit lint or has a strong view about it watches, it's a very clever idea. I'm sure it's very useful. I am just a heathen who doesn't believe that someone else should dictate for me how my commit messages go on my repository. Especially not the idea of having to have a weird little flag that says feature or not.
It's interesting. I was just as I was getting onto GitHub, I glanced at some of the messages that I've gotten, and I noticed that commit lint structure seems to be like something that's being adopted perhaps in the sample apps as well. I don't know. I just saw some commits, and maybe they're not actually using commit lint, but they're using the format where there's sort of like the type : and then the actual message. So it's interesting.
One of the interesting things I find about that is that commit messages should be for humans to read. And so the
Mm.
more weirdness like that you're adding, and I'm just like, it doesn't help a human. So, oh, look, it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I might just be being a curmudgeon here. Let's just be aware of that. So updated permission set generation command and logic. Writes inclusion of writing out to folder and creation of folder if it doesn't already exist. Boom. You let me push this up now? Yeah. There's no tests. Don't worry about it. What are you doing now? The following error occurred. Required flag. What? Oh, there's some tests. Oh, you. Oh, why are you enforcing your stuff on me? Right. MDX create permission set. There's a bunch of tests over here. Where are they? Runs hello. We don't have hello. So what it's doing is all of these are failing because obviously when you run hello, it's not just putting out hello. All right. Should we look at updating some permission set, some tests in the next? Well, so we have 40 odd minutes left in the episode. So option one is we can have a look at updating these tests that are using the test setup structure. Might be fun to install that test run as a pre-commit hook too. I don't want more like pre-commit hooks. I want to commit my code and be happy with it. I've done my testing. No more commit hooks. No. Yes, we could run that test hook as a that test run as a pre-commit hook. This you're on mute, Pete. Sorry. Please unmute so that
That
you
would
can.
be the other option, is to just remove the pre-commit hook, isn't it?
Yes. Well, yeah, we could definitely do that. Probably a good idea to get across the tests. So Capability Stomp has made the point that it's probably a good idea for us to get across it and be aware of how these are going to go. We had this as an idea for much later on.
Yeah.
We didn't have it as a plan for now. So
I guess like the only challenge I see for now is that like I don't know Chai as a test framework, which is what it looks like this is
yeah,
at all. So it's sort of fumble through turning off the pre-commit hook, or fumble through maybe getting the test to a very rudimentary state that it actually passes. And I could go either way. I mean,
yeah. Part of me is wondering quickly to see how hard is it? Where is it having this as a hook? Where would it be as a hook? It's not there.
I would have thought it would be in there.
Format link. Yeah, we can run them individually and run the test individually. I think just for the sorry, I'm responding to Capability Snob's conversation here. I think the conversation around this is: I would like to show people how the tests work and how to get some of the tests set up. I want to go away and do some investigation into how that does that properly before we do that, because again, I think it's using. Is it using Chai or is it using? I thought I saw Cynum was somewhere in there as well.
Oh no, there's
There's a
Mocha.
few. Yeah,
Test
so yeah,
only.
there's a few different pieces in there that I don't think we're super comfortable with at the moment.
Yeah.
And so there you go, Mocha. So what I'm wondering is can we just remove it as a commit requirement? If so, where do we do that? Bum, 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 bum. Yarn run. So it's fine. Where was the push? Yeah. Yeah, I can't see where it is off the top of my head in there. Okay. Because, yeah, I suppose my thought is, and I don't know what your thoughts are, Pete, whether we want to be spending time blindly groping through tests here, which you're not going to really
I mean,
do
it would be
anything.
pretty blind. I guess what makes for like better live stream.
Yeah, probably not that for now. .git slash hooks
Hooks pre-push. Okay.
where that's GitHub. Where's dot? Is there a .git? We could just comment out the test as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to get them so they don't run at all. But a good suggestion though, Ellie, is to just comment them out. Where
What's
is
under
that?
Husky?
Ah, there you go. Pre-push, yarn build, and yarn test. There you go. I bet you that will do it for me.
Might work. Was it on the commit that it failed, or was it on the push?
On the push.
So the commit should still be there, right?
Yeah, but I'm not committed the removal
Oh
of that.
yeah, of course. Ta-da.
Yeah, so commit ran fine.
Right.
And then if we do boom. Okay. What? Resolving data, remote. Oh yeah, that's fine.
It's just warnings.
Yeah, this is just Dependabot whinging. So it's pushed up.
Okay.
So if we go here.
Dependabot was designed to whinge, so.
Yeah, there you go. We have been pushed up to say running of tests. Failing because my tests weren't running. Yes, well aware. Thank you. Cheers for that. Yeah, Dependabot's got 4. Bump Oakcliff from great. None of the test failure for that. Wonderful. Bump TypeScript. There's a test failure for that. A TypeScript test is failing when we run TypeScript. Run yarn install production. Aye, all right. That is another day's problem. Not right now. Let's think about it. So, what do we want to do next, Pete? That's actually productive and not sitting around fighting.
But didn't we talked about doing like the next sort of metadata subtype for the overall create app process, right?
Right. Yes. Let me give you the share link, and then I'll hand over because I've been hogging things.
That's all right. Okay.
Boom. So yeah, so what do we want to do as the next type? So I think our options are, while Peter is connecting in, we got to look at our issues. So we've got create permission set, we've got a Lightning app. I think one of the ones we were talking about was a tab, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know that that works very well as a standalone because the tab, if it's an object tab, you need to have the object in existence. So
But only if it's an object tab, though.
true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. We could just like the metadata to create a tab. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's
That's a
do
good
that
point.
then. Shall I? Let me go in. Have we got a tab? No, we
Yeah.
don't.
Let me make that slightly bigger and
Right.
I'll share my screen.
Right, as well, I'll stop sharing 1 second. But for Peter, what I'm going to do is try and be helpful and pull down a tab. Org browser.
Okay. I should be ready to bring into this stage whenever
Yeah, sorry.
whenever you're ready. That's okay. Yeah.
Voila.
Voila. That's the wrong one. Okay, let me try that again.
Let me remove you from the stage again.
Right, there we go. That was my command line as opposed to VS Code. And then I think, can I? Yeah, so it's, if I need to, I can go to my browser. Cool. So now last time, I'm trying to remember, I think, so host shared a live terminal, enter to type. Cannot, so request read access to terminal. And then restricted mode is intended for safe code browsing.
Oh, there you go. I've just given you access to the terminal.
Very cool. To enter. Good. All right. So that's there. And then manage trust. And then I should be good to go. Yeah. This is one of the things. So is this my theme or is it yours?
That's yours. In the terminal or on Visual Studio? In Visual Studio,
On VS Code.
Yeah, I think it's yours.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay. Just more to learn about live sharing. So, okay. So what we need here is, that's interesting. It doesn't give me the full to the top. So I'm in the right directory, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's what's the command for, is it,
What are you
what's the
trying to
command
do?
to create a command? Is it dev?
Sorry, what's the? I missed the question again.
Oh,
Sorry.
just what's the command to create a command? And it's sfdev. Yeah. So sfdev generate command is what we want, right?
Yes, fsfdev generate command.
Okay. So, oops. Let's cancel that. sfdev generate command. And we'll probably end up going through this several times like we did last time, but
Yes. So I think it was MDX.
Uh-oh. Didn't like that.
Following error occurred. Missing required flag name. Yeah, you
Flag name.
you didn't give the commander name, Pete.
Oh, we have to actually. Oh, see, I thought that was just part of the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So we'd said so we already have MDX.
yeah, so MDX is what we were doing. Is what we were having. It wasn't. So it was going to be MDX.
Is the topic.
Yeah. So when you generate it, I think we give a topic, a name, and a.
Okay, I'm just gonna type this because it's been 2 weeks and I no longer remember. So, so name value required.
Sorry.
What's that?
You just zoom in on your screen a little bit as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Should I make it bigger?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Boop, boop, boop. So name of the new command, use colons to separate topics. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure about. So it's going to be MDX colon. And are we doing generate and then the metadata?
Was
Or is it
it?
metadata name then generate?
It was create and then metadata name. So MDX create custom tab.
Colon. Is it just tab or custom tab?
Custom tab is what it's.
Okay.
Well, that's what the metadata type is called. We don't have to
Right.
don't have to do that.
I mean, you can just use tab, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to create a standard tab, are we? So
Not in our current jobs.
no.
Okay, so that's super helpful then. And name MDX colon create colon tab. Yeah, we're happy with that.
Yep, looks good to me.
Boom. All right. So now if I just make sure I refresh here, under MDX create, we now have a tab.typescript. And then additionally, so we'll end up doing a metadata type there, and then tests, commands, MDX. We also have our tab tests as well. Sweet. So I think those are all the bits that we would expect.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and open tab.ts, which is just going to look like our boilerplate stuff.
Yeah. So, what I'm going to do, I'm a helpful kind of guy. Despite popular misconceptions. So,
All right.
I've got for you here the definition of the tab. Let me paste it at the bottom for you.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So,
So I'll have a description tab. Oh, motif. Now that's tricky because that's like
yeah,
that's a very visual experience when creating tabs. And I tend to get a little bit over obsessive about picking the right one.
oh yes, I know exactly how you feel. So I think with the motif, we could. I mean, how did they do it in the old create app thing? Actually, did it just give you the options, or did it just give you a
Oh, that's a
random
good
one?
point. I think it seemed like it randomly picked one to me. I don't remember
Yeah.
though.
I mean, I think we could have the. I think we just pick one.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
default it
yeah,
to a particular
yeah,
motif. Okay. Do you want to let's see. That's in that's all in SLDS, isn't it?
yes. Uh, you have to find the old version now. Though.
Oh, we're on system 2.
Have you played with
Style
it
with
yet or
all.
not? System
What's that?
2. Have you used System 2 yet or not?
I've not. No.
No,
Here's
neither have I.
lightning design system accessibility patterns. That seems like it's
Yeah, I
another
think it's on
one.
icons is where it's.
Tools, iconography,
I
icon
think you're on number
library.
2. Yeah, try that. But I think you're on SLDS 2 still.
I am. How do I get to other?
I've just pasted the link in the chat. In fact, just to make it
Oh,
easier.
sweet. Okay.
Now, what's interesting is these motifs. Oh, do they align? They do align. This is good because that would have been a real.
Okay, going to the OG lightning design system. There we go. Standard icons. There we go. So I'm sort of like into just picking something that's very generic, like gears, or but if you want something more whimsical, like I don't know, a chess piece, or I'm
Is there
open
a
to
chess
whatever.
piece? Oh, it's the rook here. Um,
Yeah.
I'm happy with whatever. Like I just chose the alarm clock. Was the is 25 is what we've got in the thing, which is the alarm clock. I'm happy with
Okay.
whatever one. The
Is,
cogs
is that a beer
maybe
can? Number 459.
number 59. Yeah, don't know what that is. There's the cadus next to it. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with whatever. Like whatever
See,
you
this is exactly what my mind goes. My mind has this conversation every time.
yeah.
Uh, okay. Well, let's see.
The only one I won't have is
Oh, you know what? I bet probably the best one is just like custom 9, the lightning bolt.
yeah, that works perfectly. Let's do that.
Okay, that's what we'll do. So, uh,
Oh, is it going to add? All right, let me go back in and change the tab and just check what it's called. If it's going to be called custom, I assume it's going to be custom 9 lightning bolt, but you
oh, that's
don't
a good point.
know. Leave that with me.
I'll just write it in, but you can go and update it as you will. So probably next thing is I need to get the flags so that we can take a description and motif.
Yes.
Or should we just skip? Well, no, we need the. Should we skip the motif and the generation and just do one? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we because the thing is, people can create their own motifs, but I think where that involves a
I,
uploading of files and all sorts. I think
yeah,
yeah,
and I guess I sort of worry because the format of this is so specific. I just worry about a user getting that right.
yeah. Yeah, no, let's just default it to Lightning Bolt for now, and people can go in and change if they want. Um,
Okay,
comes through as this custom 9
lightning.
Lightning.
Cool, nice one. Okay, so we just need a description flag, so that should be pretty quick. Let's
We'll need a name as well. Oh, we've got a name flag already,
yeah,
haven't we?
name is in there, so that's handy. So SF
Oh,
dev, yeah.
well, we also need a type flag because is it? I mean, we're probably only likely to be creating custom objects right now, but you could create a web tab, a Lightning app tab, a
In which case, we'd also need an object name.
yes, because we've got so the options we've got are custom object tabs. Although the object name isn't actually listed anywhere in that metadata.
That is a good point. So how does that work? Does that
I
go and
I
get
think
put into the object somehow?
one would assume. I'll have a gander in the background.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Well, I'll get going with the description tag. Dev. Okay, and it's generate flag. Oh, I can select one. Oh, there's way more in here too. Oh, it's just like circling. Okay, enough of that. Generate flag. And this must be run in a plugin directory. Oh, that's interesting. It's opened up a local terminal.
Really?
That's bizarre. I didn't expect that. Okay. Because that's my machine name right there.
Ah,
Oh, there we go. Weird. I didn't expect that.
yeah. Now you're on my machine. RM
Okay.
dash RF.
SF dev generate flag. I guess name. Should I look at help? I'll look at help just for good measure. No, it looks like you just type the command and then it must prompt you as you go. Flags, dir, and dry run or no. Yeah, okay. Okay. Boom. Okay, so mdx create tab is the command we want to create it for. And this is just going to be text. Where is it? String. There we go. And earlier we were talking about the sort of special types and just sort of examples on things like required org and Salesforce ID and sort of some of the things there. Okay, so string. We'll call it description. What's the short character we used for description in the other one?
Wasn't D. 1 minute.
Oh, I can look it up. Why am I asking you? I'm sitting right here in the thing.
C.
What is it? C?
C is what we used, yeah.
C. Because that was the best sense we could make, because D is already sort of reserved for something else.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is interesting. So there is no, we were just asking about the linkage between what a lovely discoverable UI. We were looking at in terms of the linkage between custom tabs and custom objects. It's all done based on the name. So the name of the tab has to be the same as the name of the object.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I find that totally unexpected. I mean,
so let's go ahead.
There are certainly plenty of frameworks out there that where like the convention over configuration is like the approach. I mean, that's like the whole thing around Ruby on Rails, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like to have Salesforce be so configuration oriented, but then like have this odd thing that it's like, well, if it happens to be named the same thing, then boom, you're good to go. What's up with that?
So this I think presents us with an interesting. So I think for our basis here, we want to create the command line option that allows us to build a tab, whether it is an object tab, whether it is an object tab, a flexi page tab, or whatever. We don't care.
Right. Then how's the inference between like a flexi page and a tab work? Is it just like if it's named according to the flexi page? Like,
great question.
It brings up so many questions in my mind all of a sudden.
No, the flexi page one has the name of the page to display in the tab. And then same with Lightning Web Component. Same with Visualforce page. Same with S control.
So they have an additional piece of metadata that gets configured in that case.
And yeah, same for URL. But yeah, can we make sure we add in S control as a valid option in this as well, please? Just
Always. I mean, you wouldn't want to, shoot yourself in the foot as far as backwards compatibility, right? This is the description of the tab metadata. Okay. Oh God, that's right. Okay. Single character. Okay, that's the C.
You must follow the rules when writing out.
Did we say description was required last time? No.
No, we didn't last time.
No, we don't need multiple descriptions. Okay, so now if we go back here, we should have the new. Do I have to refresh it? Oh.
So see if it's updated.
Oh, here we go. Reload from file system. Is there a way to do that? I think this is just one of those.
There you go. It was. I think that was my fault because I
Okay.
had it open. You made the changes, and it took my version as the modified version. So let me just.
Got it. Okay. Boom. Okay, so there's our description. That's good, and I'll go ahead and save that. Okay. So going back here, public async run. Okay. I mean, is this a good time to go ahead and abstract out the XML options, the default XML options?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to copy and paste that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
extract it out. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so we have src commands, metadata types. Do we want a folder for like common or I
Yeah.
don't know,
Lib.
lib? Is that what you prefer?
I'm happy with whatever. That's the test
That's
folder,
not
so
right.
I
Yeah,
probably won't
no,
place
not
it
there.
there. Yeah, I'm happy with whatever, like common, lib,
Okay.
dumping area. That's what I call it. Other.
Common. And then so configs.ts, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that works.
And then what do I need to have in place for it to be a allowable TypeScript file?
Wow, this is a great question. Of my
So,
pay grade, but you want it to be. So you want to have. So you just exporting that configs as
I
something,
think.
because then you could just use the standard exports. I think it'll work fine.
Okay. And so export default class MDX, and then I would do configs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So you do export default.
Flying blind here. Never done this before. And actually, this is a more simple one.
Yeah. I think it's going to ask us for some sort of accessor option on there.
I'm not extending anything. I don't think I would need any imports. I literally just need to export.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Export. What's that? Let's see what it's. Oh.
So yeah, accessibility modifier.
Okay. So it doesn't like that as a const, which is fine. Class member is. And then do I just do export default XML options?
I think you not. Is there not a way of tagging it as public at the top?
Okay. So this is where my lack of practice in creating JavaScript modules is going to be laid bare.
I think that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be it. That's all I've got in the other one.
Okay.
So I think it's just making sure you import it.
But then, I mean, I guess where I'm going is then wouldn't I need to import configs?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So this one here.
Not in generator. It was in. Permission set.ts in the actual command, wasn't it?
Oh, I see. So you created an object. Sorry, a function.
Yes.
Because you basically had the private, but this is just a constant. So okay, so then let's go to here. Okay, I'll give it a try. So import configs.
Yeah, it's going to help you.
Sorry?
If you just hit enter, it'll do the work for you.
Ooh.
I was doing it.
It was, but I slash. So I'm going from
I think if
MDX
I remember,
create
I think it was like 3, if I remember correctly, from permission set.
to src. Yeah. Okay. Dot slash common. Still not giving me any help.
Nope.
.js. Right. This is where you said you had kind of a weird thing where.
Yeah, so if you make it, you'll need to wrap the lot of the after from the path needs to be in single quotes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is a string, isn't it? Ooh. Oh, single quotes we're using.
Yeah. So if you use it as JS now, it'd be fine. If you use it as TS, though, it was like not happy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay. So import configs from blah, blah, blah. And then
I've just added the same line up there for you at the top.
sorry, what's that?
In the permissions one, I've just added the same line of import configs.
Oh, great. Right. Cool.
So yeah, I think you can just in the permission one remove that and replace it with configs dot.
And then
Does it work if you don't add an extension? It didn't like it. The linter whinges and moans.
where's that?
Capability snob just asking. So relative import
yeah.
paths need explicit file extensions in ECMAScript.
Okay. So, and then I'm going to actually probably would it be easier? Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. So then sorry, I'm going back and forth so much. Actually, you know what I should do is just There we go. That's probably will save me some work. Okay, so I've got the default options there. And I wonder if it just to keep the code simple, if I just do config.
I'm going to call it configs
Oh,
in that file.
oh, there we go. Right. Okay.
Try it again. Try going back and hitting. Try IntelliSense again. I think it was the. It wasn't saved.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
It's not liking that, is it? Doesn't exist.
Unsafe assignment of any value. It's because it's a class, and you're not constructing a class instance.
Oh, okay.
I think what you could do though is, could we not just do export? What's the thing I'm looking for? But yeah, export. Yeah, if we just do that, export.
Oh, just do export default XML options.
Yeah, because if it's just going to be config stuff in here, it's unlikely to be.
Yeah. Okay.
What's it? Engine declaration of statement expected.
Oh, it doesn't need public, does it? It's not a class.
Oh yeah, but it needs to be let. We're trying
const,
to.
actually. Oh, here. Yeah. Okay. So it should be like const, and then the object name, and then export object name, or that. I guess that works. Looks like it works.
Yeah, capability snob. Do we have at local setup in package JSON for absolute? We don't. I'm trying to avoid messing around too much with what Salesforce are asking us to do and have in the kind of config. I know I've kind of just spent all that time moving the commit lint stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid too much of that to keep it as realistic as possible to what Salesforce provide out of the box. But yeah, we could do that as well to make it a bit easier.
So now by doing that import in that way, and then
sorry, Pete. Just as a heads up, we are nearly at 3:00. We're 2 minutes out. So
oh goodness, yeah, we are running late. Okay, so
yeah, so let's so with that, excuse me. As a bit of a wrap up, so Peter and I think over the next couple of weeks, we'll go away and have a look and try and tidy the tab up and get that in there so we can have a tab coming through. And then I think next time we want to try and maybe get some of these things, some more of these things coming together. And start working through that.
It might be interesting to do a command that like calls like the the permission set creates the object, so it calls the other Salesforce command to create an object, and then creates the tab, and see what we get.
Yeah, no,
although I think it's going to be interesting that we have those two things mixed. So
yeah, maybe that's what we'll do next time. Then is do create object with tab, and have it create the object and create the tab. By calling the other two we've got, and generating the files for that. That would be cool.
I think I need to go and review my JavaScript module syntax.
Yeah, I need to go away and have a bit more of a play. But no, thank you as ever, Pete, for joining us, and thank you everyone for coming along, and helping us kind of figure our way through. This was a productive episode. We've got stuff making, stuff deploying, which for us in an episode where we're working with TypeScript and JavaScript is a productive episode.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks everybody. It's a lot of fun, and thanks for the folks who came along and watched.
Yeah, thank you very much. Remember to subscribe and give it a like if you enjoyed this. I really appreciate so. And yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
See everybody.